Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast Middle of the Year Awards. I'm Luco in DAD. This is Tempest.
Hello.
Oh. Caught me off guard. This is Pete. Oh, there it is. And welcome to our best matches of the year so far. Please do press the subscribe button, give us a little notification and all that sort of stuff. Leave a comment down below with what you think is your favorite match of the year so far. If you're new here and you don't know how our awards work, the way that it works is that all of the on-screen talent that we have here at WrestleTalk, Parts of Unknown, No Rolls Barred, Chaotic Neutral, we all get given this form. It also means other people also get it. WrestleTalk.com writers, our moderating team, $100 Patreon backers, all of our editors. Everyone gets this form. Members of the WrestleTalk Extended Universe get this form. We all fill it out. Your top person, your top match, gets 5 points. Your second favorite match gets 4, and so on and so forth. I total up all of those scores, and I put them into a spreadsheet. Because, I love a spreadsheet, man. Oh, spreadsheets.
Yes.
So, we're going to count down our top 10 matches of the year. Any predictions before we get into this?
Will Ospreay is going to be on this list.
He's going to be on it so many times.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away too many spoilers as we get into this, but I think you're going to hear the name Will Ospreay a fair amount as we get through this.
I'm hoping for at least one WrestleMania 40 match, because I think there's like 3 that could be on this list. Mm-hmm. But I'm obviously talking about Jay and Jimmy Uso.
Of course.
But I don't think all 3 of them are going to be on here. I think they're probably going to be taken over by Will Ospreay, probably. But I reckon at least one of them I would hope to be on here.
Do you have any dark horse picks you think might be on the list?
It's really tough because like a lot of the dark horse picks I don't think other people will have voted for. I think I'm the biggest fan in the world of the match that Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov had on Raw in the King of the Ring tournament.
That actually did get 2 nominations. I would say 2 different people did vote for that. So
Yeah.
Love that match.
Not even get it. I don't think it got into the top 15.
I love that match with every fiber of my being. But like there are loads of matches that have been great from other promotions as well. You know, you talk about Will Ospreay and Josh Alexander from TNA, or Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. from New Japan. And it's these ones where it's like these deserve the recognition, but will enough people have seen them this year to get the votes?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Like Ricochet and Ospreay got a couple of noms, but not enough to push it.
Ricochet and Ospreay.
Sorry,
are you living in the future?
Sorry, Ricochet and Dragunov. It's because I've seen Ospreay's name so much on this list. Because even like Ospreay versus Claudio got like a nomination in here. Rhea versus Nia got some nominations, but kind of not enough to get in. The ones that didn't get enough to break into the top 10, however, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. From Mania 40.
Interesting.
Swerve Strickland versus
one of the 3 that I was thinking of.
Swerve Strickland versus Samoa Joe versus Hangman Page from Revolution.
Yep.
Drew versus Seth from WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The Men's Royal Rumble.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be on my radar.
But it got 2 nominations, which I was quite surprised of. Oba Femi versus Dijak versus Josh Briggs from Stand and Deliver.
Love that.
The Oba feminists rise.
But they were not enough to get into the top 10. At number 10, with 2 nominations, one of which was top level.
Wow, all right.
Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus The Bloodline from WrestleMania 40.
That's also not one of the 3 that I thought could be on
Very
here.
funny.
That's... Huh.
I mean, it's a great match.
It is.
It's really, really good. Because there were so many, like, all these noms were coming through, and it wasn't getting any nominations at all. And then when it got 1, I was like, oh, yeah, I can see why. And then when someone voted at top level, I'm like, that's actually pushed it into the top 10.
That's crazy. I wouldn't. This is also not one of the 3 matches that I thought would be on the list from WrestleMania 40. It just goes to show that WrestleMania 40 was pretty good, but I really enjoyed this match. See, it's weird though, because I was going to compare it to Infinity War, but Infinity War is better than Endgame. But in this case, the Endgame is better than Infinity War, so that analogy does not work. But I really enjoy it as the setup for the next night. I think it really achieves what it's trying to do for the next night, and I totally get it. And I love the aura of The Rock having his WrestleMania entrance and all that stuff. The build into WrestleMania was fantastic. So I totally get why someone would really enjoy this. I think it started off a bit slow for me, but then when it got going, it was awesome, and I really enjoyed it. But I do think it is a part 1 to the better part 2. You know?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting for a number of reasons that this was the first time in this part 1, part 2 WrestleMania thing where you've seen a match then lead over into the second night of WrestleMania and have that like immediate consequence to it. Obviously, you've got The Rock wrestling for the first time really since the Cena match at WrestleMania 29. So you get a sense of how long that's been and how much people have, wanted to see The Rock.
What are you talking about? You wrestled Eric Rowan.
Shut up. But anywho, I agree, like, it's 45 minutes long. It's a long match, and I do think you could say like, oh, it's this wacky WrestleMania match and everything. I think everything this match does, the following night does better. The Rock's just not wrestling on the next night. So I think it gets points for The Rock actually wrestling. And it is like a good match, don't get me wrong. But it was difficult for me to consider putting both matches on the list.
Yeah.
Giving votes to both of them, I don't know. It feels like it's taken up too much when you could put, part 2 on there.
I think this is why I'm really enjoying doing middle of the year. Because this definitely wouldn't be on end of the year.
Right.
But doing it in middle of the year, people are like, you know what? I'll throw some nominations.
Yeah.
Like, there's less matches to choose from almost. So you'd be like, that gives it a chance to get into the top 10.
It's the same sort of reason why I don't put all 3 Lord of the Rings movies on my list of 10 favorite movies. I'll just put one of them, but it's like, but really it's all of them, kind of way.
Yeah.
At number 9, with 13 points across 5 nominations, Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles at WWE Backlash.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
Yeah.
Really good match.
Right?
We were talking about it on the Wrestler of the Year awards that we had done, where AJ Styles, for the last few years, some were saying that he was washed, perhaps. 3.25 star AJ was a thing.
Yeah.
You might expect better out of an AJ Styles on WWE programming, but you know what? He's at that point in his career. Maybe he's winding it down. That's fair. And then when this program started, I just said, just show me something, AJ. Show me, just give me a reason to care again. And then he did. And it was brilliant. And it's in a lot of these sort of lists of like best matches of the year so far. And it's very well deserved.
Yeah. Great follow-up match as well at Clash.
Yeah. I mean, this is like a great match that was elevated by the crowd being incredible.
Yeah.
So it went from like 4 to like 4.5 to 5.
Yeah.
Just like that extra element of the crowd being incredible as well just really helped this match.
Really
awesome.
good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. It's actually tied.
Ooh.
So there was joint 8th place. I got my notes wrong there. So there's joint 8th place, Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles, because also with 13 points, 4 nominations, one of which was top level, which sort of puts it slightly above, of course. Will Ospreay versus Michael Oku.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't there for it, but okay.
I was just thrilled that this got on the list because I was hoping I nominated for it.
I did.
Yeah,
I absolutely did.
I
This is the
wanted
best
the
singles
4.
matches I've ever seen live.
It was incredible.
What can I say about this match?
So you and I were there for this.
Yeah.
With your partner, and it was like, you want to talk about a special environment. This felt special. It was Will's last match in the UK before he went to AEW. Tony Khan was there because Will did his big sort of emotional goodbye speech. We kind of had the big shock thing because Orange Cassidy just randomly appeared on the show for the opener. And it's just like there was this build and build and build all through the night. Everyone was getting really antsy for like, oh, it's Oku versus Ospreay. That's the main. It's going to be Oku versus Ospreay. And like legit, it's the greatest wrestling match I've seen live.
Yeah.
In person. Holy smokes, this match is incredible.
I almost can't put into words that feeling of being there for a match like this. And I've seen some pretty gosh darn good wrestling matches live, I think this is currently it's 1 and 1A between this and the Omega Page Young Bucks tag.
I was about to say, you were there for
the
that.
best matches I've ever seen live, but it's like right there for similar but also different reasons, where thankfully I have now, if this was the first Ospreay match I'd seen in the UK, I'm sure it still would have been fantastic, but I would have had a little bit less of a connection. But I've been here for 2 years now, and I've seen him wrestle Zack, and I've seen him wrestle Shingo, and I've seen him wrestle all these different people in Rev Pro or UK New Japan shows or at Wembley or whatever the case, and it's impossible not to feel the connection that he has with that audience. And being in that crowd for a match this good, again, Ospreay versus Michael Oku, I think it was from like 2 years ago, something like that. That was my match of the year for that year. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't getting on the list or whatever because, again, it was one of a bunch of great Ospreay matches and wouldn't be one that people would have gone out of their way to see at that point. But they should have, because these two are climbing the ranks of each other's greatest rivals, and Ospreay's had a bunch of them.
Yep.
I would like to see this match again at like Wembley Stadium in like a year or 2 years, because people will not be ready to see it. It is just that good.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, it's great. Like, it's so. I knew that the match was special when we were watching it because like I cried during like the finale and during Will's promo at the end. But then when you left the building and we were all on our way home and stuff, you go onto online and you're seeing Americans have also watched it. Like they streamed the show and they were watching it like, hot dog, this match is great. And I'm like, yeah, right? It was real good. In at number 7 with 19 points across 8 nominations, Bayley versus Io Sky from WrestleMania 40.
That's one that I hoped made the list.
I'm so pleased that this got on this. This match is awesome.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Like, because they had an interesting start to the build to WrestleMania, and then it kind of just fell off a little bit for this feud. So I was like, oh, I really hope they don't bottle it, because this could be really great at Mania. But then they went out at Mania, even without that kind of lackluster build in there, started off where he went off a bit, came back at Mania, and everyone went, this is awesome! Yeah. Oh my god, these guys are good wrestlers! I'd love the finish as well, with the multiple moonsaults coming back into it, the counter. Oh, it's so... love this match.
The Rose Plant counter, where she just like, I'm just going to handspring out of this.
Yeah, just handspring out of it. Great. I love this match so much. It really well deserved to be on this list.
Very much so. And you talked about the storyline and everything going into it, and there were people saying that this should have been the main event of night 1, and maybe they took the foot off the gas of that intentionally so they could have an easier argument of putting that bloodline tag in the main event of night 1. Just saying. Yeah. But when Bayley won the Royal Rumble and had a few weeks of very good TV following it, there was absolutely an argument that this is a main event of WrestleMania caliber match. And they went in and they did exactly that. And it feels so good, because I've often felt like Bayley is the maligned member of the Four Horsewomen. Yep. The only one to this point that never really felt like she had a classic WrestleMania match, which is really disappointing, because like you look back at all of the years since the women's evolution and such kicked off, and she got to like retain the title at WrestleMania at one point, but it was in a 4-way, and it wasn't like one of those pushed women's matches. It was just like, here are all the girls, because I had to get everyone on the card that year. And since then, I always have this thing where you are a real pushed WWE star when they have to give you a spot at WrestleMania. When it's, Randy Orton's not going to miss WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. He's going to find a place on the card one way or the other. And when Bayley had the incredible run she had as women's champion on SmackDown during the pandemic, and then they came back around and she was forced to host the show with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 37, that pissed me off. Oh, yeah. Because Bayley deserved better. And now to finally have Bayley win the Royal Rumble, go to WrestleMania with a pushed story, and win the women's title in a fantastic match is everything they should have always been giving to Bayley.
Still pisses me off that she wasn't at the press conference. Mm-hmm. That's still... Put her on the damn posters. Yep. Like, she is your women's champion. Show her some respect. In at number 6 with 20 points across 6 nominations and 1 top level, Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah! Let's go. That one's for me. This match is better than the Wrestle Dream match.
It is, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, because it's building off everything they did in the Wrestle Dream match. Like
it's the part 1 to the part 2.
It is. Yeah. It's what all sequel matches should do, which is take everything that's great about the first one and level it up. Mm-hmm. And this one, and I loved their Wrestle Dream match from last year. I thought it was everything I wanted it to be. And this was just like, oh, it's that, but it's better.
And this is just a personal thing for me as well. And I've gone through a real journey with this over the last 5 years because that pandemic really screwed everything up. But my personal taste, I enjoy really hot wrestling matches in front of a Japanese crowd probably more than an American crowd, just because of how it builds the respect for like breaking holds and things like that. There's a psychological thing going on there that really helps a match like this, where it's a match about, well, who is the better technical wrestler? Who's going to be able to get in and out of holds better? And I'm not going to say that, you know, the Seattle crowd didn't appreciate that at WrestleDream. They obviously did, but there's a different vibe to a match like this when it happens in Japan. I think this is the best match that New Japan's put on all year, and they've still put on some really good ones. God damn, it makes me want to see them wrestle a third time in a rubber match. I don't know when or where, but I would watch this match every single day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. I think the WrestleDream match, when that finished, I was like, that was incredible. I can totally see them doing a part 2.
That's it.
And then they did.
Particularly with that finish as well.
Yeah.
He won not with a wrestling hold,
Exactly.
he won with a wrestling move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Disgusting.
The spot where they're just tied up with each other, like they each have a heel hook, and they're looking right across from each other, and like Danielson just slaps him once, and you just see Zach's face change.
Yeah.
It's everything I want in my technical wrestling.
In at number 5 with 22 points across 9 nominations, Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks from AEW Revolution.
How about that technical wrestling?
I love this list so far.
Yeah.
There's so much variety on there. I really enjoy this list. This one is great.
I love this match. I know there are some people who do not like this match because they do not like the glass spots.
Yeah.
And that is fair, I guess, because I think it is not to everyone's taste. I think there are some people who are like, you didn't need to do that in Sting's retirement match. My argument has always been that wrestling commentators have always said, people like Darby Allin or an Abyss or anyone like that, why do you do these stupid, dumb spots in matches that no one will remember in front of 500 people? Like, what's the point in this? So Sting was like, so Darby was like, if I'm going to do this spot, I'm going to do it in a match that no one is going to forget. And no one will forget this match, and which means no one will forget this spot.
Yeah, you know, people might not like this spot, but I think those people are cowards. No, I'm joking. Like, obviously, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in a wrestling match so far. So if it's...
Darby has got another 6 months.
Yeah. So if it's not to your liking, I do think that's fair. But, like, I watched Jackass as a kid. This is a jackass kid jumping off his roof and doing some crazy ass nonsense, but doing it in the biggest wrestling match he may ever have.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that we got to talk about, obviously, because my God. But it's also like it's Sting's kids coming out dressed like him.
That was what I was going to mention.
It's
the emotional high of it as well.
It's coming out to Seek and Destroy.
Yeah.
Like it's everything about this is so great. And like I think the Bucks play their role perfectly in this match. Like I think they're really, really great here.
I think it's the best retirement match I've seen.
It is, because the only
I
other one...
I was rapidly trying to go through like what other retirement matches have I seen. I was like, yeah, it is this one.
Yeah,
It's easily the best
Sean and Taker. Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
hold on.
You know, I don't think Sting's
Sean
wrestling
and
again.
Flair.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Roman Undertaker.
Yeah. It's just this is the best.
Yeah.
This is vibes in the Carolinas.
I know. And I remember like you and I had a big conversation about this before the match happened as well. I mean, like I can see both arguments to be made of like the Bucks win because on your retirement you lose on your way out. Sting's never been pinned or submitted in AEW, so in his final match, he's going to go out on his sword and this and the other, and you put the Bucks over massive. Ooh, what heels that they are. But there's such a good argument to make. It was like, fuck it. It's Sting.
Yeah.
Like, just have him go undefeated
Yeah.
and just have him retain the tag titles and put them up in a tournament. And when this match started, I was like, God, I hope he doesn't lose. Like, I really hope he doesn't lose.
Like, I was kind of ambivalent on who wins. I was like, I think there's an argument for both. And then as soon as they won, I was like, yeah, Sting totally should have won.
Yeah.
Of course he should have won.
Yeah,
It was
of course he should have
completely
won.
the right call.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that match. It's so, so great. At number 4, with 28 points across 11 nominations, Sami Zayn versus Gunther from WrestleMania 40.
Yep. another one of the three that I hope made it, because this match ruled. I had so much fun with this.
But Pete, they botched the ending when they did that brainbuster on the
Shut up, Luke! No, they didn't. And also, that tracking shot before his entrance is still awesome. And I know it's been memed to death to be like, cinema. But also, it's so good!
It was real good.
That tracking shot is so good, and you have KO there to greet him going out to the ring. The emotions were high, and I was like, it's my boy, Sammy, and I don't care what happened. Sure, I wanted Chad at some point, but I don't care because it's Sami Zayn, and we get to see him wrestle Gunther, and that's awesome. And then they had a great match, and I'm like, God, I love these guys. Both these wrestlers are so good, and they put on an incredible match. Proper David Goliath stuff. Awesome.
Yeah. This match, like, it was on the WrestleMania card, and I could see it was coming up next. I immediately called an audible, and I was like, oh, I think I'm going to take my break now from the live streams. I think, Dan, because I just wanted to go and watch this match. Not have to be, like, on screen and, like, have to be on and commentate on. I was like, no, I just want to watch this match.
Yeah.
And I had a wonderful time watching this match.
It's Gunther at WrestleMania in a singles match this time. And I love that triple threat that he had last year. Don't get me wrong. But Gunther has said he prefers a sacred one-on-one who is better wrestling match. And he got to have it here. And it was, prior to Roman, it was the title reign that would never end, finally ended by everyone's favorite babyface. And if you told me 2 years ago that Sami Zayn would be the one to dethrone Gunther, I'd be like, that's kind of an interesting choice. I don't know if I'd do that. But to see it then happen live and then see what's happened since then, it's like, God, I'm so happy for Sami Zayn.
Yep, that's it.
I
think we had those conversations about, like, I kind of wanted it to be Chad because I was so emotionally invested in the story he had last year.
Yeah.
But then when you're watching it, it's like, of course it's Sami.
Yeah.
Because it's Sami Zayn, and he can do this.
Yeah.
And he does it really, really well.
Yeah. And Chad was still part of the story.
Yeah.
And was part of the story afterwards. Like, they built around it,
In at number 3 with 29 points, 11 nominations, one of which was top level, Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita.
Yeah, buddy.
Revolution.
Yup.
Every year there are these matches that I end up watching like 3 times in the space of like 24 hours when they happen. And this was the one this year.
When they announced this match, I think I said on the podcast, like, oh, what a perfect first match for Will as an official part of the AEW roster. What a perfect first match. It's, with the family stuff, so you can, like, some play off of that. And also, because Takeshita's rad, so this will just be, like, really, really good. What a great introduction match. It did not need to go as hard as it did. But it did, and it was really, really good. And it kind of, you were talking about AJ, one of those matches where you're like, why isn't Takeshita pushed more? Like, why isn't he wrestling on TV every week?
Yep.
I love this match so much. And I'm very happy to see it as high on the list as it is. Because this, to me, very much felt like the one that might get lost in the shuffle a little bit. Just through the course of Will Ospreay being amazing and having so many great matches this year. This was the perfect introduction. An amazing, amazing match. I can't say enough good about it, and seeing it get its flowers like this is very encouraging. Makes me feel very warm and fuzzy. I'd like to see them do it again after Will splits from the family, perhaps, and you can do, like, they had a heel babyface dynamic, but, like, really lean into it. Have Will overcome the odds and everything like that. I think you can do this again, and if this is a part 1 to a part 2 later on, imagine what that part 2 can be.
Percentage chance this is in the top 10 when we get to the end of the year.
I think it still is.
Yeah, I think it might be high, but lower down. I think bottom half of the 10.
Yeah.
But I think it's still on it. Yeah.
I just wonder if, like, because it was in, like, February, so, like, that's, quite a way off.
Yeah.
It's 10 months later on. I'm hoping to see, but
that also entirely depends what Ospreay does the rest of the
well,
year.
that's also it, right? Like, we have got another 6 months yet.
Yeah.
We go from 29 points there to 76. Because in at number 2, 18 nominations, 9 of which was top level, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 40.
Yeah. This is my match.
This is your match,
This is my baby. I love this match. I don't care if it's not the greatest in-ring thing I've ever seen. It's the greatest event that I've ever seen. The emotions running through me on this night were unbelievable. The hype and the aura it carried, the loss from WrestleMania 39 playing into this one, the build with The Rock, the switcheroo and the press conference, and the loss from night one going into this one. Roman Reigns' entrance made me cry, and then Cody finishing his story, the announcement afterwards from Samantha Evans where she was crying and everyone getting in the ring, and all the stuff you see afterwards about Cody being gifted the Rolex that his dad pawned when he was a kid to pay for his acting class. It was like, I can't handle this level of emotion, and it feels like the most important night. Even if it's not, it feels like the most important night in wrestling, you know? It had that aura. It had when people say it's a big fight feel, this is the biggest fight feel. I adore this match and everything that goes with it. I don't care that The Undertaker was there and it didn't make sense, because this was awesome. I don't care. Yeah. It just... all of like the logic of like, well, this isn't a great technical, you know, whatever. Doesn't matter when you have this level of like aura around it. Carries everything. It was incredible.
I still think bell to bell it's great as well. Like
it is great.
Like it's got the aura and everything about that. I think these two work together. They have got a really good connection for wrestling.
That first half was them just going like, by the way, we are great at wrestling.
Right? Yeah, like the second half's going to be full of Gugu and Gaga and Pyro and Ballyhoo, and Cena's going to come out and the Undertaker's dong's going to go off and all this sort of stuff. But just as a reminder, we're dead good at this.
We have great chemistry. And if this is a part 3 to a part 4 later, I'm into it. I want to see it again.
I think in the purest sense, this was a WrestleMania main event.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
God, yes, it was.
You know, where you can look at other matches on this list and everything, and they may be better wrestling matches, and ultimately that is what this list is. But you will always get bonus points for having a classic WrestleMania main event. Mm-hmm. The same way that I am 100% certain that if Cody had won the world title in the main event of WrestleMania last year, that would have been the match of the year. Mm-hmm. It would have won match of the year, and everybody would have thrown babies in the air and been crying. It may or may, you never know. Both of these matches have happened. This is number 2. It may appreciate more in people's minds as you get towards the end of the year, but it does have the Gugu and all the run-ins and the Avengers Assemble and all these different things. But you know what? You can only do that in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yep.
And sure, people might be able to go and have a better match elsewhere, but you can't have a WrestleMania main event anywhere but the main event of WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. And that's why when you hear that is still a very big thing to people and that people want to have a big WrestleMania showing, whatever, it's because you might get something like this. Mm-hmm. And it's been a while. Since we had anything even close to this.
Absolutely, yeah.
This was really something special. And yeah, it might not be my favorite match of the year. It might not be my favorite WrestleMania main event. Some of the Undertaker whatever is like, what is going on here? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because you can't just create a moment like this. This is something that does just kind of come together, and at the end of the day, you've got all these pieces that I guess like it's a weird sort of like created and organic thing happening at the same time. You know, I don't know. It's a weird middle ground in that sense, but people are gonna love it forever and ever, and you'll get people saying it's the best WrestleMania main event of all time, and I'll be there to argue with them.
He sat right there.
I'm just saying that it's the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, supersedes that.
That's all I'm saying. You know, it's not hyperbole or anything.
It was actually quite a close run between this and our number 1.
Yeah.
Because they've got 76 points. Our number 1 got 81. So 19 nominations, 11 of which were top level. Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson from AEW Duck Dynasty. But it was like every now and again, this would just slightly, it would go like 1 point ahead because it would get a top level nomination. And then you'd get, and there's like 3 points for this match, and it goes back up to the top spot again. Yeah. It was like quite neck and neck for a while, which is great for me because at early doors, this Ospreay Danielson match just got a lot of top level early, and I was like, this is just running away with it. But then all these votes started coming in, and it was consistent for Cody and Roman as well. So, but yeah, Will Ospreay Danielson is number 1, 81 points. It's I mean, it's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. At a very base level.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest wrestling matches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it has also fed into one of the big stories of this year, which is Will being afraid to pull the trigger on a move. And it's played into everything he has done since then. So not only is it a great match, it's been character development for the wrestlers.
I really like the contrast of number 2 being WrestleMania main event, crazy nonsense, cameos, doesn't matter about the wrestling, it's all about the story, it's all about the moments. This is just great wrestling.
Yeah,
That's just like total opposite. Not even on one of the big AEW pay-per-views. This was on Dynasty. This was the first Dynasty they've ever done. It's like a B show. And then they were like, it doesn't matter though, we're just going to have one of the best matches ever.
Yeah.
And then they did. Like, an incredible wrestling match.
Remember when they had Danielson and Omega, and they just stood off? Like, they just squared off,
Yep.
And the crowd were chanting like, holy, this is awesome.
Yep.
That is the same thing here, where it's just like, you just put these two names on paper. I've got this real, like, bee in my bonnet about the term heatless banger at the moment. So
Sure.
just like, it really winds me up. Because you can argue, this is a heatless banger. Like, what's the story? Do you know what the story is? It's Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. Like, what more do you want?
The bell rings.
The
that's
bell-
the story.
That's the story. And then they tell the story in the match.
Yeah.
And they did that here.
This is, like you said, you have on one hand your WrestleMania main event. You know, if this is the Avengers Endgame of this is an event of a match. Over here, you've got like the Oscar award winning like period piece type thing, and this one's gonna make all the money. Biggest movie of all time. This one might win the award for the best match of the year, but are either of them better than the other? It is totally up to your taste. In terms of wrestling as a performance art, this is among the very best examples of it I have ever seen in my life. It is so good. I very much appreciate your point as to like, what's the story? The story is who's the best wrestler. And that might not be 6 months long with a wedding angle or a trial of someone or anything like that. But who's the best wrestler is the oldest and best story ever.
Between two of the best wrestlers on the planet.
AEW has, and maybe you could talk about the merits and not of doing this sort of thing, but when everybody's healthy, when everybody's on, I believe that they have the 4 best pro wrestlers in the world on their roster all at once at the moment. Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada. And I think you will probably see those 4 guys wrestle one another pretty much, with semi-regularity, in the coming, hopefully years. And you get to see matches like this. This is the benefit of signing all these guys, because you do get to see Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson have a wrestling match together, and it is perfect. It is wrestling perfection.
It is perfection.
It's 2 masters of their craft, two artists getting to play off of one another and build this beautiful painting on the wrestling canvas together. And that is so special. It gave me a feeling that I did not think I'd really felt, honestly, probably since like the Omega Okada matches. Because you'll get good matches you'll have amazing matches, some of the best matches ever. But in terms of just that story of who is the best, and here are 2 people that you can make equal arguments for, you don't get that very often. That is a stars aligning kind of match. And it ends up being the best match we've seen so far this year.
We were talking about like the percentage chance of like the Takeshita match. Like, where do we think that's going to rank highly? I think this is like 100% slam dunk guarantee. This is on the list at the end of the year, and it's in like the contention of top of the year.
I think it will be top 3.
Yeah, even if not, just number 1 again.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I know we've got 6 months. There's a lot that can still happen.
Yeah.
I think there's every chance this is number 1.
Yeah.
When we get
100%.
to the end of the year list.
And I'm not, and the only reason I'm saying top 3 is because there might be stuff in the tail of the year
it.
that is like incredible and might, contend with that. But even if there's incredible stuff later this year, this still will be top 3.
Easily so.
Yeah.
This is entirely hypothetical. We could be recording this, and in a week's time, Bryan Danielson's on his way to winning the Owen, and Will Ospreay might be the world champion. And we might get part 2 at Wembley. Who's to say?
In which case, like, both of them might end up in
Yeah.
the list, or like one of them's better than the other, it bumps it down. It kind of like
Yeah.
it's the Bloodline tag match from WrestleMania Night 1, where because the second part of it's so good, this match is so great.
Yeah.
And just talking about it here, all that's making me want to do is load up Fight.tv and just watch it again.
Yeah.
And I may do that.
What are you guys doing for lunch today?
I think we know now.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That is our match of the year so far. Let us know in the comments down below what's your match of the year so far and your reasons for it as well. Do you agree with our list? Do you disagree with our list? Let us know down below. Please do press the subscribe button as well. Give us a little thumbs up and all that good jazz. And we'll be back with more great content here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. Until then, I've been Lee Cohen, DAD. That's been Tempest.
Make sure you watch the list version of this on Parts Fun Known this weekend.
Abso-bloody-lutely. And that's been Pete.
Make sure you watch the TLC version of this later, at a later date.
Jam that jam.